it's a really interesting go-to-market strategy to start with publishers that we can actually see how people behave, and then hopefully as these guys will do something really good on the television, on my living room, we could do some partnerships and repeat the same experience we've seen on the web. Search versus discovery in a line. Search is when you really know what you want to do next. From our experience, people stumble upon on a story page or a video page with actually not a lot of knowledge with regards to what they want to do next. Especially these days, people click on a Twitter link or a Facebook link or an email or an MSN or a name, so they land on a page and they have no clue what they want to do next, which is a totally different experience than search. So discovery, I think, specifically with video, plays a significant part of engagement, traction, and revenue eventually.
Let's talk a little about the business models regarding online video, because I think that one of the things that we're missing a bit is that online video today is taking 60–70% of bandwidth of all traffic over the web. But it's taking a minuscule proportion of the total revenues generated online. So there is a huge mismatch here between cost, okay, of delivery, cost of bandwidth, cost of storage, and so on, and revenues. The revenues are really in the very, very early stages of development. Video advertising is still a small portion of the total online advertising, and even advertising on video pages is still a very small proportion of the total advertising of display and so on. So how do you see these business models evolving? Because something's got to give, and there's no way that we will continue to spend all of this expenditure on infrastructure, on content, on delivering it, and not see a return from the other side. So, you know, some of you have different aspects of the monetization of video, both Ravi and Catch Media and Tabula, each one in their own area. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how this is going to evolve.
So we really are in the business of monetization content online. There's a few facts that we've learned that, you know, might be a bit against the, I would say, you know, the common knowledge. For the moment, I don't see anyone who's monetizing VOD online. Because for a certain, you know, the internet has educated us that something that is not live, which is VOD, you could probably get somewhere. And funnily enough, and because of what you said, you know, the costs of delivering video, the cost of delivering advertising, VOD today, until iTunes starts to work in Google TV, is really not monetizable online, period. I haven't seen any model that, you know, that makes any money on that. Live is, because for some reason, you know, it's especially sports and news, which is in many ways impulsive and compulsive, and people want to see it now. Like, I presume, you know, there's at least 20 people in this room that would pay $5 to see the NBA game live now, while I'm talking. Well, I can arrange that if you want later on. So that is something people actually pay for. And I'll give you an example. I can't say the exact numbers, but it's a high, you know, 7-figure a year. The NBA has broadcasted over 1,440 games in 140 countries, 150 million minutes. And people make money out of that. But again, they can do that because it's premium content. Now, I think the biggest problem with monetization today of content online is just the huge cost of delivery. When that will fall down, then even advertising, which is low CPM, will actually be ROI positive. I do want to throw two additional stats that I think are interesting for this market into the discussion. When you look and you try to understand where this market goes, you know, 5 years later on. And David, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but these are two stats that are, you know, they always sit in the back of my mind. Well, you know, Best Buy, right, probably sells more TVs and screens than DirecTV has new customers a month, right? So if all of those devices will be connected, well, what's Best Buy's role here? Maybe Best Buy is going to become a content partner and is going to, you know, work directly against DirecTV. You know, Walmart just bought Vudu. You know, Walmart is launching a self-branded, white-labeled, connected TVs. I'm not talking Apple, I'm not talking Dell, not talking HP, I'm talking Walmart, right? Massive. launching a TV connected.
That's a pretty scary concept.
Yeah, well, and, you know,
Content from Walmart.
And you can only pay cash.
and I agree with you, yeah. And the other side of the infrastructure is, right, when Apple launched their iPhone with AT&T, you know, and it reached only 3% of the devices on AT&T, the network actually crashed, right? And today, 3%, or when it was 3%, it represented 40% of the data traffic on AT&T. So you have a huge problem in infrastructure. VODs for free, new players coming in. You know, infrastructure cannot support that. So I definitely think it's going to be an interesting marketplace to look at.
Okay.
And we're, of course, well positioned to solve all of that, right?
Of course.
So
Needless to say.
I think if you look at the various people on the stage here, what's clear is a couple of things. Large companies, the Googles, the Apples, the Microsofts of the world, they're trying to capture your eyes. They're trying to say, we want to provide that infrastructure. I think Ravi in their time, since they were founded, has probably done a better job at target, defining a niche, penetrating that niche, and generating real dollars for their partners out of that niche, whether it be DirecTV, NBA, or others. We come about and we say, look at yourselves 5 years from now. How many different devices, how many different screens will you have at home, on the go, in the car, at the hotel room, where you'll want to watch the content you perceive is yours? And that content, by the way, we don't differentiate. Whether it's a movie your kids stole off the internet, God forbid in this city, or it's a show you DVR'd, or it's a TV channel that you have live at home, or a DVD that you bought. From your perspective, that's your content. And you are going to be able to watch it where and when you want, whether somebody wants you to or not. Because if they don't let you, you will find a different way to do that, whether that be with a Sling box or other technologies. What we do is we put a platform in place that says something very simple. It says, we're going to allow the retailers, whether it be a Best Buy or a Walmart, or whether it be a Google or a Microsoft, to offer services out there that are licensed, that enable the rights holders, whether that be the director of the movie who's been promised 2 years ago 2.4% after 90 days that their content was released and viewed on new media, to get some of that money back. We're going to put a platform out there so that to you as a consumer, your content just shows up across those devices. So on your car radio, you turn it on and your music just shows up. Whether dad bought a CD at Best Buy or you walked down the street and copied from a friend some songs. And so I think if you look at the future monetization of content, video specifically in this case, it may shift from a world where most of the monetization is what we call the acquisition realm, which is where DirecTV and others are today, which is that's where I buy or acquire my content initially. And you may see a shift to where most of that revenue comes in the post-acquisition world, which is I've got the content, whether I stole it, bought it, or subscribed to it, and I'm going to want the convenience of it showing up everywhere. Now, the common question we get asked is somebody really going to pay to have their content with them? And I'll tell you something very simple. General Motors, Mercedes, BMW, Marriott, they all believe that it is added value for you to have your content in the comfort of your car, your hotel room, and across your devices. And they will pay so that you have that content there. You may not see the price.
I think what everyone's missing is it's not the ad money that's funding all this today. The broadcast networks that made all the money, ABC, NBC, CBS, are coming to us, and our competitors are demanding a monthly subscription fee. And as consumers, we don't want to pay twice. I'm watching the NBA game. I have a $100 subscription to DirecTV at home. I get it for free, of course. You pay $100 for it. I don't want to pay another $10 or $15 for this. I may pay $3 a month to watch it on my phone or on my PC while I'm at work, but I don't want to go buy a $100 subscription from the NBA on my phone, a different subscription for my TV, and the company that can provide all of that will get most of the dollars. I do agree that the program guide that exists today is going to go away in favor of search and discovery. There'll be more and more on-demand content. There'll be less and less live TV opportunities other than things like American Idol, the news, and sports. But for the most part, a lot of the content you see today will go away, and then the question is, will people continue paying for a bucket of 500 channels when what they're watching is 50 hours a month, 20 hours a month, or 10 hours a month? Forget the fact that they're only looking at 20 or 30 channels anyway, but they're paying for 500.
Okay. Adam, how are you helping in monetizing this market?
I just love about talking myself and the company. It's amazing. First, I just want to comment about David, and then, of course, I'll come back to talking about Taboola. I think that's actually really good, interesting comment. I think what's changing is that people actually understand that content is king, And I mean, you know, if I can stop paying for my subscription, which I did, I've stopped paying for them you know, back in Manhattan. But if I could just pay directly to ABC News and watch the last episode of Lost, I would, because I would love to pay $1 and just watch whatever I want to watch specifically. And I think in aggregate, I may pay tens of dollars a month per month, but I'll really get whatever it is I want to watch. And I think it's actually fixing some the economics, because the content owners get the money directly, and they're not, you know, less being cut along the way. There is a challenge here of who's gonna win first, but I think that's gonna change the game. This is going to reshuffle.
But I think right now they're getting more money through us than they're going to get. They get more per customer from you, but it's a long time before the people will pay them more. If they could get rid of us, they'd get rid of us tomorrow morning.
I agree. I think that's a legacy issue, and I think that's going to change one way. I mean, TV everywhere is one way to solve it. I mean, you see some mutant solutions. Some of them will I think, remain, and some will not. But at the end of the day, I think people just want to pay for what they want to pay, and let's just buy buckets of content, which they never get to. That's about first part. Taboola-wise, what we're doing is, I think the main problem with video, I'm not sure if, I mean, YouTube really created a lot of problems. The main problem with YouTube is it's massive amount of unmonetizable content, which people just consume. You know, it's 1 billion, 2 billion streams per day, which is unmonetizable content. That's a big problem. Because Wall Street Journal, and you know, we have some folks that work with these guys, they make a lot of money on their video assets. They, even publicly, they say they sell pre-rolls for 50, 60, $70. It's a lot of money. So they don't have problem monetizing the videos. So who creates this issue? I think it's those massive portals like YouTube. So what we're doing in that respect, and with our current customers, our customers can really define the pyramid in which what's the super premium content, the less monetizable, and the shit. And we just bias up the stuff that people really interested in, and advertisers are willing to pay money for. So if we can offer areas 2 types of content, one is really monetizable and one is not, and we think you may be interested in both, we'll probably bias the one that some may, you know, sell this to advertisers.
Right. You know, one interesting fact is that with all of the choice that we have and the ability to view whatever we want to view whenever we want to do it, the common knowledge was that this will create more democracy in content, and we will see more diverse content as a result of it. And what's really interesting to see is that in real life, the hits are becoming much, much bigger, and the second grade of content is viewed less and less, because we don't have to watch a show that we're not too excited about just because it's on right now. And because we are not anymore hostages of the programming of whoever is programmed for us, but we do make choices, we have actually seen a higher bifurcation of content, that the hits have become much, much larger hits. If you think of, you know, American Idol and the value of this franchise created in a few years, and the second-rate reruns that we were used to seeing on primetime TV are almost gone. Okay, nobody's watching them anymore. So it is interesting that by getting more choice and by getting a higher diversity, we're actually seeing less diverse content in primetime content.
Well, let's create a debate for a second here, because DirecTV is here, and I think that most of the people in this room will ask one question.
Why are you paying so much?
Why do I have to pay for 495 channels which I'm not watching, right? And it's actually $82 a month.
I stopped.
Which is a lot of money. Well, and by the way, of course, DirecTV is a client, so I love to pay $82. And I think we should all pay 82, if not $120.
We love that you paid.
Yeah, and
First of all, I think it's not the DirecTV, and not shifting the blame here, but for the last 3 or 4 years, every time our contracts come up with different broadcasters, instead of us paying more money in some cases, which we do, they also add new channels, whether it's NBC adding MSNBC and the Sci-Fi, ABC adding ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN, CL. That's where your money's going. 50% or so of the costs are coming from programming costs, and it's getting to the point where it can't continue. I mean, the cable guys on us are going to have to stop at some point and put our foot down, just because people won't pay it. At some point, it'll just break this whole economic model, and then that's when you might see all this change.
Yeah. I totally agree with David. We're all in this hype bubble of video online, and it will happen in 5, 10 years, but it's still a very small business. If you go to ESPN and tell them, hey, you know what? I want to take your channels and broadcast them online. They will say, well, that's nice. Can you pay me $200 million a month? Because that's what I'm getting from from DirecTV and from Comcast and so forth. And if not, please come back in 5 to 10 years because that's the check we want.
I don't know exactly what they pay us, but assume they're paying us $2 or $5 a month. You would happily pay them $2 or $5 a month, but they will never sell it for that price because there are 5 other channels that they're charging us 50 cents and 75 cents is where all their money's coming from. And until somebody finds them another way to make money, they're not going to shift that around. They may sell that same. HBO just cut a deal with Sony to put their shows on the PS3, but they're offering 11-month-old shows for 99 cents each because they don't want to kill the cash cow. We're getting them $10 a month or half of that going to HBO to pay for HBO every month. Yeah, even though you only watch 3 or 4 shows and 50 other rerun movies that are on HBO at that time.
But you can definitely, you can definitely see a trend. So even ESPN, right? ESPN3 online. So you're not going to see NFL primetime in a zone that is, covered by DirecTV, but you are going to see the swimming competition in North Korea. So there's a lot of, niche channels that at the end we believe, we'll turn to something that does make sense. 100,000 channels to 100 million viewers is definitely something we believe in.
And I'm running home to see the swimming competition in North Korea.
No, I think
I can actually show it to you here. $4, please. No.
Some of these smaller channels actually get bigger advertising rates, whether it's a snowboarding channel because they're selling snowboarding gear to a higher segment of the population. And the question is, should those channels really be a 24/7 channel on your dial, or there should be a VOD offering on your TV that you can pay for and sell advertising against?
It's the other
and that's
thing,
where it's heading over time.
The other thing we're going to start to see is some of what Turner played with 2 years ago, where you'll be able to watch customized content like your kid's T-ball game. And we'll start to see that taking up hours of viewing as well. And I think that's where you're going to see some of the technologies that are here on the stage come up.
Okay. I want to move back a little to the living room. And a few years ago, PCs were a very big technological challenge for the home. You needed to connect many cables to different devices around it, and you had to have at least one administrator of this technology at home. Usually it was me in my place, but now my kid took over, which is great, because it's become very difficult in that world. But today, in the PC world, we're usually moving around the home with laptops. We have a wireless network. We have nothing connected to nothing.
Your wife doesn't call you on the phone to fix your PC like his sister did last night?
and now with iPad devices, it's even becoming easier. The mess has moved to our TV. I agree with Adam. Another box in the TV, near the TV, is a big challenge. I think that the barriers to adding more complexity to our hardware configuration around our TV is becoming bigger and bigger. And we do have a spaghetti of wires behind the cabinet, which holds our music equipment, our video equipment, our VCRs, our TiVos, our game consoles, and so on, all of them connected together in a spaghetti of wires to our living room TV. And I think that the analogy between the PC world going, wireless and very easy to configure and easy to use has to happen in the TV world as well. And Amimon is giving one solution there, but there are several different solutions looking at a networked home which provides high quality video around the home, anywhere, anytime, from any device transmitting to any device receiving. I'd like to hear maybe you have your views on this new battlefield that we're going to have in our home network, and who do you think is going to get there?
Well, of course, Amimon, but let's I'll try to go back even to the previous discussion, because really one of the main problems, and if you look back on Microsoft attempt with Web TV and then Apple TV and now Google is retrying basically the same attempt, and all these issues of video on demand and bringing the video content via the internet, I think that one of the things which haven't happened, definitely haven't happened until now, is the convergence of the TV and the PC in a way that will make it reasonable for a normal user to enjoy the experience. So if you look back at the web TV and Apple TV and all, they didn't provide human experience, human interface that makes sense. So you put a box near the TV and then you try to use the remote control to control something which is essentially a PC. Just doesn't make sense, okay? It doesn't work. Nobody likes it. So this is, Apple TV really provided extremely poor experience for the users. And everything that was tried until now didn't work in a way that was compelling. And I think that this was a barrier for everything that we are talking now about how to get the content and enjoy it. The barrier between the PC world and the TV world, which are completely different, is a huge barrier. And now we are starting to talk about connected TV. But even the connected TV, we know very well the TV companies. The TV companies will not sell you anything that requires you to give them a call and ask them, how does it work? Okay, they cannot support you. They are not built to that. They sell you the TV, bye-bye, come back 5, 6, 7 years from now, buy a new TV. So even these connected TVs, this is a walled garden of very, small number of selected applications, and you cannot just go if you want to watch the swimming competition from North Korea. Okay, it's not one of the walled garden applications, but I really want to watch it. Okay, so I can do it on my PC. I cannot do it on the TV, even the connected TV. It's not really connected. It's connected to what they decided to connect it now, but 2 years from now, it's going to be obsolete in any case. So there is no solution yet, okay? And the only solution that we see is really making this wireless real-time easy, okay? So if I can push a button on the iPad and it's on the TV, then all these business models become viable, okay? So I think there is a tight connection here between the hardware capabilities, okay, and the business models that we are talking about. Once we'll really manage to connect the PC world and the TV world in a seamless way that will make sense to normal users, then many of these business models that we say, okay, there is no money in this yet, I think they will all of a sudden start become to make more sense.
I disagree. I don't think it's the technology that's stopping us today. Some of it's the cost and way we get our set-top boxes. We lease our boxes or get them for free, so it's our interest to lower the cost of the box to us so that we can make a little bit of money or not lose money on the boxes that we ship every year. But for the most part, you can hook up your laptop today to the PC. Every PC comes with a VGA connector, and it's not the greatest connection. You can get, Intel has a new wireless standard for doing that. That's not what's stopping people. What's stopping people is the business model of how that content goes and how much content can be delivered over the internet to your TV at a good enough quality and a good enough experience for you to watch.
People try to make
wireless in the next 3 or 5 years is not going to give you the same kind of connection that a wired connection is. Whether it's 3G, it's 3G on that side of the room, but as soon as 3 people turn on their phones, it becomes an edge connection. And even when 4G comes, and that's going to take 2 to 5 years, that's not going to give you HD quality like you have today, full time, all the time. These technologies are just not mature enough. Or if you turn your air conditioner on, all of a sudden your wireless connection or your microwave oven is interfering with your television reception. You go to trade shows and you see people put the wireless devices 2 feet away from each other because there's too many people with devices on and they can't demonstrate. We would love a wireless solution with no new wires. We tried Powerline, we tried wireless. In the end, DirecTV just started last month installing every set-top box with a coax connection that plugs into your set-top boxes and the same box that gives you the satellite. Cable is using the same system. In 3 to 5 years, all our houses will be wired that way through our cable and satellite companies. Even I go home and I take a Linksys router at home, it's still too much of a problem to hook up all the different passwords and connections, and 35% of these products get returned to Best Buy because people can't figure out how to set up their own wireless network at home.
It's not a technology argument, so for the sake of discussion here, you have to assume that it's going to work, okay? You don't have to take my word for that, it doesn't matter, but for the sake of discussion, you have to assume that we, the technologies, can solve it, okay? We've solved many things until now, we can solve also this one. So for the sake of the discussion, let's assume it's working. The point, it's not about putting this, additional set-top box and providing the connection to the internet to the set-top box, because this is what Apple TV tried to do. Just the human interface to this box, if it is going through a remote control, it is a very poor human interface. People don't understand it. People don't want to use it. And if you can solve that issue of interactive use, human interface, not the Intel connection with 1 second latency, this is not
That
what
I
people
agree. I
are
think the
after.
second screen is going to provide a bigger role. People buy their iPhones, they buy whatever product they want. Somebody who wants something like that will buy an iPad, and when they have that, they'll also have an option of streaming video from a site that maybe Ori's providing, or getting things from Amazon to watch, or finding out more about American Idol and who's on the TV at that time. But it's not going to make subscription pay TV go away, at least not in the short term.
I didn't say, I mean, basically, when I look at
I
this,
agree, you know, Project Natal, you'll be able to go like this and wave at the TV and it'll change channels. But again, what if 3 people wave at the same time? Who's going to know whose channel is changing and who has control and everything else? There are a lot of problems to be solved when you're not just playing games.
it's not going to make the TV or the cable connection go away. But if you look at the young generation, before they have a TV and before they are subscribing to one of the cable providers, they have their laptop and they are watching content on the TV. So there is a change. Now, first of all, they go for the PC. And then, okay, at some point they have more money, they buy the TV, they want it to connect, and then they will also add, and all these will actually live together. And there will be the business models, all these business models will be available, and they will be a little bit more balanced than what they are today.
But what I think David is trying to tell us is, don't worry, we're going to continue paying $82 for the next 5 years. So I'm just kidding. I think, Erez and Sharon, you've put here, when you look at this market, it's a very early market. So there's a few problems that we need to solve, and I think every single aspect here is in many ways is represented. First of all, there's the content and distributors. They have to be willing to go for the internet game. Without them, there is no video online. It doesn't matter.
And I would say that's the largest effect of Google, Microsoft, and
Yeah,
Apple entering the game.
absolutely.
If they didn't enter the game, these dinosaurs would never move.
Yeah, and then
I think Google wins either way. If they don't do it, we'll put the same technology. So instead of 50 cents on every dollar on the ad, they'll get 30 cents on every ad. But it'll still happen. It's just a matter of who's going to sell more boxes and put them in your living room, whether it's Google, Boxy, or somebody else. If I was Boxy, I'd be more worried because they're getting in the hardware business is a very tough business, selling a box. And TiVo is the most successful consumer product, greatest technology. Everybody loves it, but it became a commodity, and we have more TiVo boxes on DirecTV than TiVo has, and it's declining because DirecTV stopped selling TiVo, not because people don't like the technology.
Well, you look at this. So you have the content problem. Then you have Discovery, which is Taboola, right? In my mind, Taboola is an amazing company. It's like, the links of TV. That's the way I look at it. It's video links. Recommendation discovery is everything. Then you have everything that has to do with, monetization, which is Catch Media. At the end of the day, they're all very much about piracy and making sure. And then you have, of course, Amimon, which is about porting. Because in my mind, the the way we look at everybody asks us, will people watch on mobile? Will people watch on iPads? Will they watch on TVs? At the end of the day, it's very simple. People will consume the content on the best screen available that they can watch it. Right? So if I'm in a bus, I'll watch it on my mobile. If I have an iPad, great. If I'm at home and I can port from my iPad to the TV and it's an NBA game, I will watch it on my TV. Right? And if you will allow me one personal word to David Schlacht. We're in an Israeli conference. I just want to say one thing. I know David will be a bit embarrassed, but if we had a David Schlacht in every company in the US, like he's in DirecTV, Israeli startup would be in a good place.
No question about it.
So that's one thing. I think one of the problems is our job is to get companies like you see here on the stage to be part of our system, to use them to provide you a better experience. If we do that, we won't lose the business. If we don't, we'll see competitors like Google and others take a big share of the market, and that's really where the battle is going to be going down the road, whether we can give you that experience today and whether the younger generation today, when they grow up and have families and get houses, continue to subscribe to television, or they're used to watching it on their PC or their phone and decide to give up the big screen and for some other delivery media.
Right. I think that Ori did a very good job at summarizing this panel. And I want to thank all of you for participating at this late hour, and to thank you, the audience, for your patience. Sharona, thank you for having us and for giving us the opportunity to present here. And we're keeping everybody away from the drinks, so think that we will wrap up at this stage. Unless there is a burning question from the audience, we will wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for participating, for staying late, for coming during the game. And this is, thank you. This is Ephraim Harkam. This is Swiss Hotel. And please, gentlemen, don't leave.
Hi, everyone. Hi there. Hi. My name's Ephraim Harkam. I'm the owner of the hotel. I just want you to know that. Can I take this piece? This woman is the greatest finds we have. What a phenomenal job you've done. Gary and Pierre, all your team have been phenomenal, and the guests. I mean, you know, Sharona works hard at getting you here, and you were here. All of you were here. It was fantastic. We're really this is a feeling that's it's going to last for a year, and we learned a lot, and we're stimulated, all of us, and we're so proud to be the sponsor, and all of the other sponsors that are here. Phenomenal. Thank you for supporting this great organization. Sharona is tireless, like Yossi knows. He knows how tirelessly you work, and we're so indebted to you. Israel needs you so much, and it's a true passion that we have from Sharona. That's why we're part of this, and we want to be part of this, and we don't want you to outgrow us, please. Don't outgrow us. And by the way, if you want to test any of your media, I mean, I've got 200 hotels, inventory of 200 hotels, from the Palms in Las Vegas to Dillon in New York to Hotel Rodeo Drive. So we'd love to test your, you know, we can pay as well, but we'd love to test it on our site, luxhotels.com. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to take a picture with the panel. I want to thank you all so very much. There's a beautiful buffet out there, and with all those beautiful words that Ephraim Harkam said about hosting us, he's been a marvelous partner to us, and to all the people that flew in from Israel, from Canada, from New York, from Beverly Hills, and all of you that came, and all the people that are outside. I, from my heart, I think this is the most wonderful thing that we can do to elevate the ideas and concepts that are coming out of Israel, to bring them here into a center of commerce, to do business, and to really talk about what's good, what's healthy, and what can create a better livelihood for all of us. And so we'll do this again next year. We'll again ask everyone to fly in from everywhere, and we'll just keep improving it with all your suggestions. And I thank you very much, and thank you all my staff for working like dogs for months.
Thank you, Sharona.
Thank
That
you.
was
So
fun.
let me take a picture with all of you fine, wonderful people.
Lakers only 48-39.
Okay, all right, very good.